reached out at me to explore a few different topics that are very diverse from one another. Do you want to start with the book?
So the book is, as I said, it's called AGE-DECODED. It's about genetic engineering in the future. It's an exploration into the future about 200 years. It's my best guess as to where we might be headed with all the new developments in genetic engineering. Some people call that speculative fiction or hard science fiction. I'm literally just trying to figure out where we're going to be on Earth in a couple hundred years. The book actually starts 50 years out, but then it stretches another 2 centuries beyond that. It really explores what might happen if we go willy-nilly with CRISPR genetic technology and start editing people's genes and doing physical things and also mental things, so psychological things.
Did you have any prior background in genetics?
Absolutely no background. I do have a science degree. I was an economics and math teacher, but I did end up getting very interested in this topic. I started reading about aging because I represented Canada on the World Triathlon Age Groups Championships, which means I compete against 60 to 65-year-olds. I became very interested and intrigued in aging and performance and how it does drop off as you get a little older. And then I found out that there's some very serious genetic science research going on in the world to stop aging. I thought, well, that's fascinating, not just for triathletes and athletes, but like the world. What would happen in the world if we just stopped aging and maybe even reversed it? It's going to be a scientific breakthrough tsunami. It's going to have a huge, huge impact on humanity.
On humanity, in what sense? From anthropological point of view? Or do you think there's going to be an impact at a psychological level, at the individual level?
All levels. The way I like to explain it is that in the past, we have nurtured humans. We've developed better education systems, better scientific methods, technology, medicines. Life expectancy is much better. We've done a pretty good job. Not great, not perfect, but we've advanced, right, as a society and for individuals. But this isn't just nurturing. This is literally changing the nature. Thus far in history, we have evolved through natural selection very slowly. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going in there with genetic engineering and actually changing genes, editing genes, fashioning genes as we might. So we are going to be doing what's called unnatural selection. It's going to be rapid.
Well, natural selection has always been a pretty slow process, but as humans, we never had the appreciation for it because only in recent years we started discovering in such details how things have evolved over time.
Yeah, well, literally, we will be able to genetically edit and change certain species, including humans. For example, in the United States, there is a lady who had sickle cell anemia, which affects the Black population more. So this African-American lady had, what they did is they edited her blood to remove the genetic aspect of her sickle cell. And then all her blood was eventually replaced, and she no longer has sickle cell anemia. In Ohio, there's a horrible affliction they have. It's called Canavan's disease. So what they're doing is inserting viruses into the brains of these young humans and bombarding their brains with this virus, which carries the proper genetic code. So that's called the gene drive. They're also doing that with blindness right now, injecting certain genetic code right through the eyeball with some particular types of blindness in the United States. Another example is mosquitoes. Mosquitoes carry malaria and dengue and other diseases. So in Florida, just a few weeks ago, they genetically modified some mosquitoes and they released those into the mosquito population. And they're going to drive out the bad mosquitoes, the ones that carry disease, and replace them with this mosquito.
Where should progress stop?
There are going to be a lot of ethical debates around this and some religious hesitation and moral hesitations. I think the bigger moral issues will be, what kind of things should we be doing this for? Should we do it to end cystic fibrosis? Well, probably a lot of people say, yeah, that's good. Let's try to do that. There wouldn't be a lot of argument on that, but should we do it to control the intelligence of our child, or the creativity of people, or the capacity to withstand fear, or for soldiers, for example? Or should we try to make people stronger and faster, to make them better athletes and set world records. That all that stuff's on the table, and that's, I think, where there's going to be big moral, ethical discussions and disagreements.
Wouldn't that kill humanity the way we know it? I don't know if what makes us human is what makes us all different and all weak in a way. Like we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, and once you can fix that, what's going to be the difference between all of us?
A lot of science fiction, robots become more human, right? But this reality, it's like humans are going to become more like robots, right? We're going to be designing them and making them more mechanically perfect, and that scares a lot of people, because in my book, the main disease they try to cure is aging, growing old. They just try to stop it. They see that as a disease. Should we be doing that? Like, is it natural to die, or should we just say, no, we can stop dying, and we don't have to die?
Regardless aging, there are other ways of dying, like diseases or like traumas, accident, murder. If you kill someone in a context where, okay, they're going to die anyway in 100 years, it's bad, but if they were going to live forever and you kill them, I think it makes something bad even worse.
It changes the whole value of time and the value of life. It might devalue time, because if humans have something abundantly, then it's actually devalued. I think it's just going to change the whole nature of what it means to be human. And it's also, if we do stop aging, you're going to have, and if you reverse it, we're not going to have the old people like we have right now. And you're not going to have as many young people, because assuming that people aren't dying, they're going to have to very carefully control population. So
Absolutely.
You're going to remove all those generations. Everything's going to get sort of compressed. That ideal age of what maybe people pick 30, 35, 25, whatever. They're not going to probably pick 75, right? And the government probably wouldn't let them pick 13 or something. So if you remove all the generations, then you lose all of that intergeneration love and respect, mother-daughter relationship. These things they're going to be eradicated if we stop aging.
One of the most important things in life is experiencing. So if you take away childhood or an older age, you're not fully living to an extent, because some things you're never gonna experience. What would happen if we as humans will ever be able to stop aging entirely? Would time still exist? Because is time measured because the sun goes up and down every day, or rather because we die? Once we don't die anymore, what use would we have of time?
Certainly our interpretation of time will change psychologically, societally. It will be completely altered. One of my characters is an old fella named Jesus. He's ironically a Buddhist, but he's a very thoughtful person, and he's locked in at 76 years old. Before these can reverse aging, he's sort of locked in, and he says, I'm at the precipice of death. I'm stuck here. He sort of regrets that he locked in and stopped aging, because he's so frail and he's just almost dead, and he's lost most of his faculties, but he's still a thoughtful person. And he says the humans with so much time naturally avail themselves of it inefficiently. Anonymous once said, the thief to be most wary of is the one who steals your time. And then Jesus says, but with age decoding, with stopping aging, I believe it's the opposite. I think the thief to be wary of is the one who lends you too much time, because they steal your humanity.
Imagine like having infinite time and you have some tasks to do. You would just procrastinate forever.
There is a condition that sort of surfaces after a while. It's called Immortality, NUE. So people are probably familiar with the term NUE, which is sort of a state of listlessness and purposelessness. And so there is the idea of being immortal and NUE that sort of converges. And those people have a rough time. They are offered a visit to the Spectre Society. Spectre Societies are where you can commit suicide. It's one of the more fun chapters I wrote, because the robots are running the Spectre Society, and he's sort of flirting with this Q robot and pondering whether he should kill himself.
Besides flirting with robots, what do you think about integration between human brains and AI?
In this current book, I do have an integration, which is a neuro-integrated transmitter. Most people have them implanted. So rather than carry around our smartphones, basically the device, the controlling mechanism is in your cranium somewhere. You don't have to press buttons or anything. You just sort of tell it to, so it's almost like having your smartphone embedded in you and you can control it. So for example, you and I talking right now, we wouldn't have to move our mouths or our larynxes. We could just use our transmitters and tell the transmitter to say something to each other.
In your vision of the future, is money still a thing? Is it cryptocurrency, or we move beyond money?
That one fella goes into the Spectre Society to commit suicide. He pays in Litecoins. All right. So I put in the Litecoin just for fun, but I can't imagine any society, an advanced society, without some sort of medium of exchange for goods and services and time.
If you could access such a technology to reverse aging, would you focus more on sports?
My first choice would probably be snooker player, professional snooker player. If I couldn't do that, golf. But golf is too tough. I don't know if I could ever. Maybe I'd need 1,000 years to figure out how to hit a golf ball properly. It's very difficult. Anybody can be an author. Anybody can be creative. Anybody can express themselves. You may have to wait for the time in your life when it's right. And don't be insecure about it. Helen Keller said that security is mainly a superstition. Well, I feel insecure. I got this book out of there, and one of the first questions you asked is, "Do you know anything about genetics?" I'm like, "No, I don't really have any training in it." So I'm sure that some people are, especially in the field, they're going to look sideways at some of it. And also, if we took all the best scientists right now in that field and asked them to look out 200 years, I think they would be writing science fiction just as much.
Absolutely,
as I did.
absolutely.